Imagine next year was the greatest year of your life. As the new year approaches, I'm sure many of you are looking for ways in which you can start to set goals for the new year. And what I really want to do in this episode is walk you through the most important, most advanced psychological techniques that can help you to start to build the best year possible. A really powerful framework for setting goals, something that I very rarely share with an audience, and exactly how to leverage it and use it to be able to build the kind of life that you want. Setting up the next year as the best possible year isn't just about setting goals. It's about setting plans and strategies. It's about organizing your time. And it's about preparing for the kind of struggles and challenges that you will foresee as you go into the new year. And so I want to walk you through everything you need to know to build the greatest year of your life. This is going to be a really powerful episode. Let's get to it. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Changing Minds podcast. I'm Owen Fitzpatrick, and today we're going to talk about next year. We're going to talk about the future, and I want to explain to you some of the most important things you can do to build the best year of your life. Now, as we approach this year, I know that we've got 12 months ahead of us, and all of us want to look ahead at this 12 months and go, I want this year to be good. Or if you've had a particularly shitty year this year, you go, oh, it can't be as bad as this year, but I can't wait for this year to be over. Now I get a fresh start. Now, when we say things like that, we leverage a fascinating experience or technique or phenomenon known as the fresh start effect. And this is whenever we have the start of something, the start of a new month, the start of a new week, or especially the start of a new year, we feel like we have a sort of a blank slate a blank canvas from which we can paint the most spectacular, most amazing, most beautiful future imaginable. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to walk you through some of the most useful techniques that can help you to do that. And by the end of this, I know that you'll have a plan which you can put in place to be able to start building and designing the ideal year for you. Not only the ideal year, but also you'll prepare and you'll be ready in that plan to handle any of the challenges or adversity that might try to stop you, any of the obstacles that might get in your way. We're going to cover it all. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about your personal life. And I just want you to imagine your personal life was going in exactly the way you wanted to. When I say that to you, what image comes to mind? What is your mind thinking about whenever I say that? When I say, imagine your personal life was going exactly the way you wanted to, what's the image that you get immediately in your mind? Perhaps it's of the relationship that you have or relationship that you want. Perhaps it's that your family is all working out well, everyone's happy. Maybe it's your health or the health of your loved ones is all going great. Maybe it's you're living your life in a great way. You have a great lifestyle. Maybe it's you're doing the kind of things you want to do. But whatever it means when I say, imagine your personal life was working out amazing, I want you to just think about what images come to mind for that. And then I want you to think about your business or career and imagine your business or career was going amazing. When I say that vague word amazing, what is the image that comes to your mind? What do you see? What do you speculate on? What do you imagine? Because our simple reaction to whenever we imagine things going amazingly, that tells a lot about what we see as being most important to us. And so as you imagine your personal life being amazing and your business or career being amazing, it's important for you to recognize what will lead to that. What are the kind of experiences that you would need to have for that to be true? And so as we start to look at that, we're going to be looking at a number of different types of goals that all fit into this. But I want to start at a sort of general place. Because as we start with personal and business and career, we then can start to break this down. For example, in terms of personal life, I might say, what would it be like if you had the healthiest year of your life? What would that look like? And you might imagine yourself in terms of fitness and health and notice how your body's responding and how you're feeling and what's going on for you in your life. Or if I say, what about your social life is the greatest it's ever been? You might imagine yourself spending time with people you love and friends and doing things that you really enjoy. Or maybe I talk about the relationship is better than it ever has been, and you imagine you and your partner, or you finding a new partner and everything being incredible. Or I say money has never been as great as it is at the moment, and you imagine yourself with lots and lots of money and you're earning more and earning better than you ever have before. Or your family life is amazing and you imagine yourself with your family and everything. Whenever I mention family or relationship or money or social life or health, as soon as I mention those words, in your mind, you're imagining how that would be. And all I'm trying to do is get you to start to trigger the process of brainstorming in your own mind. You're imagining all of these incredible things before we start to laser in on the specific things you want to achieve. Because once we start that process of triggering these kind of thoughts in our mind, we start to open ourselves up to possibilities of what's possible for this year. So you imagine your personal life going amazing, your health, your social life, your relationship, your family, and you're just pointing yourself in a direction, almost like creating North Stars for yourself in each of these different areas. But I want to start to zone in by asking a number of specific questions. I want you to see this episode more like a workshop than anything. So once again, make sure that when you're listening to this, you can safely listen to it, that you're not doing something really important. And try to take some time to actually answer these questions. You can even pause to be able to answer the question before the next one. But the first question to answer is, what kind of life do you want to have? What kind of life do you want to have? And what does that mean to you? So what kind of life do you have and what does that mean to you? Notice what images come to mind. More than likely, you're going to see both a combination of your personal life as well as your business life, a combination of your health and your family, your social life, your relationships. You see a combination of all the things that matter to you. What kind of life do you want to live? Maybe you'll notice yourself in a certain location, right, doing certain things. But all of this is information that will help you to be able to answer some of the questions later. So what kind of life do you want to live and why does that matter to you? The next question that I want you to answer is, who do you want to be, right? What is the type of person that you want to be? Who do you want to be, or what is the type of person that you want to be? And this time you're going to see yourself, but you're going to see yourself with certain behaviors, with certain characteristics, right? With certain attributes. And you're going to see yourself as a certain type of person. And generally speaking, this will educate you as to the kind of person that you want to develop as. What are the kind of skills you want to develop, the characteristics you want to build, the habits that you want to execute on. So you're going to see the kind of person you want to be. And when you imagine the kind of life that you want to live and the kind of person that you want to be, it really starts you to get a sense as to what the most important ways you need to live in this coming year are. You start to think through, how can I live the following year in the most ideal way possible? And then the final sort of question, or there's three questions in this one question, which is, what does an ideal day look like? And the reason there's three questions is, what does an ideal day look like on a day that you're working? What does an ideal day look like when you're on a day off? And what does an ideal day look like whenever you're on vacation or on holiday? And so an ideal day will look differently, obviously, if you're working versus if you have a day off, like the weekend, versus if, for example, it is a vacation or holiday that you're on. And I want you to just imagine an ideal day of you at work. What does that look like? What happens? Who are you at your absolute best in that situation? What's your lifestyle like when you're at work, when things are going the way you want it to? And just take a few moments to just really consider imagining that. And then imagine an ideal day when you've got a day off. How do you spend your weekends? How do you spend your half days? What is it that you're doing in an ideal day that you don't have to work? And then finally, what about an ideal day when you were actually on vacation or on holidays? What does that look like? What are you doing? What are you experiencing when you're on this? And I want you to vividly imagine the answer to those questions, because when we start to point ourselves to an ideal day, we can then start to go, okay, so what are my days like currently? And how do I get from where I am to this ideal day? A really good strategy or approach that you can take to this is you do a day audit. So you basically audit how you spend every second of every day. You might even do a weekly audit where you take a common week and you go, how do I spend my time on an average week? And then you create the ideal audit based upon your ideal day when you're working, an ideal day when you've time off, and then you create an ideal calendar of the ideal week. And then you start to move, how do I get my ideal calendar closer to reality? How do I take what I'm currently my week looks like and make it more like the way I want it to look? All of these are great strategies, sort of beginning steps to be able to help us to be a lot more effective at creating the kind of future in life that we want. Now that we've started the process, it's now turned to one of the most powerful techniques that I've ever found to be able to establish and build the goals that we want. This is a approach or methodology that I built a number of years ago, and I've trained a number of people in this area, and it's something which I find exceptionally useful when it comes to setting goals. and it's called the Lead Your Life Design System. And the word LEAD is an acronym for lifestyle, experience, achievement, and development goals, the 4 types of goals that we really want to be able to set. So let me walk you through each one of these, explain what they are, and help you to be able to start to set them. First of all, a lifestyle goal is a goal that you have of how you want to live. So this is a habit that you want to have. So for example, there might be a couple of things you want. Maybe you want to exercise regularly. So that would be an example of a lifestyle habit. It's not something you want to achieve. It's something that you want to start to do regularly. You want it to be part of your lifestyle. Or maybe you want to do meditation on a regular basis. And that's one of the things you want to be practicing. So once again, you see yourself meditating, that's a lifestyle habit. These are examples of habits that you build into your life. So this is how I want to live. And what I highly recommend you do is think about next year and ask yourself, what are 5 lifestyle habits that I would love to build so that by the end of this coming year, I am executing on each one of those habits. By the end of next year, all of these 5 habits are natural habits that are part of the way in which I live. If you could really focus in on 5 habits you could build this year, what would those 5 habits be? Take some time and write that down. The next type of goals that we want to set for ourselves is E for experience. And this is really your bucket list goals. So this is really, where have you always wanted to go? Or what have you always wanted to do? Or it's a concert that you've always wanted to go to. But there's something in your mind that you've always said, oh, one day I'd love to do X. They're your experience goals. And if you can give yourself between 1 and 3 experience goals for the year, 1 to 3 different things that you can look forward to going, I always wanted to do this. And you might need to save for it, but you go, it could be this one big one or 3 smaller ones, but I've always wanted to do this. So you give yourself 1 bucket list goal, 1 experience goal, a goal that's amazing because of the experience you'll have while doing it. That's a really, really great goal to have as well. So you got your lifestyle goal, which is your lifestyle goals, which is the goals that you have to be able to, the habits that you want to integrate into the way in which you work and the way in which you live. And you've got your experience goals, which are the bucket list goals that you most want. So think now, take a moment and think to yourself, what are between 1 and 3 experience goals that you can set for yourself, bucket list items that you can experience this year? Next, we're going to talk about achievement goals. These are more traditional goals. These are goals that there's something that you want to achieve. I want to earn a certain amount of money. I want to lose a certain amount of weight. You give yourself a target of something you want to achieve. I want to write a book. I want to set up a business. I want to buy a house. So these are specific things you tell yourself that you want to achieve. And once again, I want you to set yourself 5 achievement goals. These are 5 goals that you can measure, that you can specifically say, this is a goal I want to achieve. This is something that I want to accomplish. You're able to create metrics for it that you know, this is how I'll know I'll achieve it. And these are 5 achievement goals, something tangible that once you reach it, you will have succeeded. With a lifestyle goal, this is a habit. So it's something that will continue to be a habit for the rest of your life. But an achievement goal is something you reach it and you've accomplished it. Set 5 achievement goals for yourself for the coming year. And then finally, development goals. Development goals are goals about what you want to learn. Goals about skills you want to learn, goals about knowledge you want to have. For example, if you've got a goal to learn Chinese, or if you have a goal to learn how to dance, or you have a goal how to learn coding, all of those are examples of development goals. And once again, I definitely recommend giving yourself 3 development goals for the year, 3 specific things that by the end of this year, you want to become really skilled at. Now, you can give yourself metrics that will let you know that you're at a certain level, which I think is a good idea, but you give yourself 3 clear skills or 3 clear pieces of knowledge that would let you know that you are as successful as you would like to be by the end of this coming year. So give yourself 3 development goals, 3 different skills or 3 different sets of knowledge that you would like to have or like to master or like to build over the course of the next 12 months. Take some time and set up your 3 development goals. So by now, you should have in total about 16 goals, between 14 and 16 goals. You got 5 lifestyle goals, you got between 1 and 3 experience goals, you got 5 achievement goals, and then you got 3 development goals. What I'd like you to do is just have them all laid out in front of you. And then it's about starting to figure out what is the plan. In other words, in order for you to achieve a lifestyle goal, that's a habit that you need to build and something you need to start to do consistently. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do all 5 at once. It just means that you can set up that this is the first habit I'm going to work on until it comes second nature to me. Then I'm going to work on this habit. Then I'm going to work on that habit. And you can do it habit by habit. So once you've spent a certain amount of time and something's incorporated into your way of life, then you can start working on the next one. Or you can simply every couple of months start in the next one. So in January, you start one habit. In March, you start a new habit, assuming that habit number 1 is already integrated into the way that you work. And that's how you would do that. In terms of experience goals, well, they're a lot clearer. You know when you're going to do whatever it is. You pick a date, you pick a time of when you're going to have that bucket list goal achieved. You figure out how much money you need to save, and you target it for a particular date in the year. Achievement goals, once again, very clear. You identify what those 5 goals are. You spread them out as to where they are in terms of the year. And then you figure out what are the steps you need to take for each goal to be accomplished. And you start to weigh in there. So you go, I need to save this amount of money by April 1st. So you go, what do I need to do in January, February, March in order to get to that particular achievement goal? And then with development goals, this is really a combination of lifestyle and achievement. It's not just about you reaching a certain level by December 31st of this coming year, but it's also about going, what are the actions you need to take regularly and consistently? And when are you going to give yourself time to practice the language, to practice magic, to practice playing the piano, whatever it is? So when are you going to give yourself adequate time in order to do this? By you organizing that and figuring out how you're going to structure it loosely over the year, that puts you in the driving seat towards being able to make these things more of a reality. And once again, the beauty is you're not trying to shoot for 100% here. You're trying to shoot from between 80 to 100%. So that even if you don't get all of them done, if you get 80% of them done, that really would be an incredible year. Now, we can talk about some other concepts out there, like what we call in business objective and key results. And if you like, you can take each one of those goals, especially the achievement goals, for instance, as objectives. This is the objective of what I want to accomplish. And then you break that down into key results that will let you know that you're making progress towards it. So for example, you want to lose a certain amount of weight and you give yourself 3 key results in terms of evidence that would let you know that you're on track towards achieving that particular result. You can do those kind of things. You can also figure out a set action plan for you to go from where you are to where you need to be. But I definitely recommend that once you have your goals for the overall year, you then break it down into a half goal and then into quarters. So in order for you to achieve the goal that you want, where do you need to be at the end of Q1, right? That's March 31st. Where do you need to be at the end of Q2? That's the end of June. Where do you need to be at the end of Q3? That's the end of September, in order for you to get to where you need to be on the 31st of December. So try to structure the lifestyle, experience, achievement, and development goals, again, across a whole calendar from January to December, knowing where do you need to be in each quarter in order for you to achieve what you want. And then once you've divided it into quarters, then for each quarter, once you've highlighted exactly where you are in each quarter, in each goal, then what you do is you break each quarter into weeks. And you go, okay, there's between 12 and 13 weeks in an average quarter. So where do I need to be at the end of those 12 or 13 weeks? Where do I need to be halfway through at the end of 5 or 6 or 6 or 7 weeks? Where do I need to be in this particular place? And you start to break it down first in terms of halfway through the quarter and then a quarter of the way through the quarter until you know weekly what do you need to be working at and where do you need to put your time in. Now, when you do all this, you might realize, well, not all weeks are created equal because some of the weeks I'll be on holidays or vacation. Some of the weeks I'm going to be unable to or I'll be sick. So you need to account for that. But at the same time, the more you can start to identify how you're going to use your time on a regular basis to accomplish what you want, the better off you'll be. And this will ensure that you're putting into real practice the ability that you have to create the kind of year that you want to create. Now, as I talk to you about all of this, I can hear many of you saying, yeah, well, Owen, in an ideal world, this would be great, but we don't live in an ideal world. And that's what I want to get to next. And that is by dealing with the specific challenges that you're going to face. I gave some examples there. Sometimes you might be sick. Sometimes you might be away. You might not be able to prioritize what you need to prioritize. Well, for this, we have a very important part of making your next year the most amazing year possible. And that is by identifying potential challenges. You got all sorts of challenges. You got what we call black swans. A black swan event is an event that happens that you weren't expecting, that comes out of nowhere and has huge ramifications for your life. A white swan event, on the other hand, is an event that has huge ramifications of your life, but you know it's going to happen. The only question is when. And whereas we can't prepare for a black swan event, we can prepare for a white swan event. So a white swan event is thinking to yourself over the course of the next 12 months, what are the potential things that could go wrong? What are the potential concerns that I could have? What are the potential obstacles that might get in my way? And you try to predict that as well as you possibly can. And then you figure out strategically, if that happens, what am I going to do to deal with it? With black swan events, you simply have to be able to take it on the chin and to be able to realign to your goals and rethink your goals in response to whatever's happened. So when the black swan event happens, such as COVID, for example, or an illness that hits you out of the blue, then you got to go, okay, I need to reset my expectations for this year, reset my goals for this year, and as a result, reset my strategy. But you have the black swan and the white swan. You also should be looking at what are the past obstacles? What are the things that got in my way this year? And is it possible to do the same next year? More than likely, it's pretty possible. What am I going to do next year that I didn't do this year? That would be a much better way of dealing with them. How can I deal with the obstacles that seem to have gotten in my way in the past and prevent them from getting in my way in the future? We also have present obstacles, the things that are causing us problems right now. What are we going to do to solve them and make sure that they don't crop up in the future as well? And then we've got future problems. As we think about the future, we think about rapid amounts of change. We think about some of the challenges that are facing us over the course of the next 12 months. How can we be as ready as possible for those particular challenges? How can we prepare ourselves for the future problems as well as the past problems that might crop up again and again and again, or the present problems that are currently getting in our way? And once we've done all of that, there's a number of great techniques we can leverage from the field of psychology and behavioral economics to be able to get us extra ready for these challenges. There's, first of all, what we call a pre-mortem. And a pre-mortem is us imagining ourselves at the end of the year and being really disappointed with how badly everything went. And then looking back and going, what was it that I did that led me to this terrible place? In other words, what mistakes must have been made in order for me to not succeed? What are the things that must have gone wrong for me not to get the result I want? And you do that so that you can start to identify all the potential traps to look out for so you don't fall into them. And so you can make smarter and better decisions as a result. Another technique you can use is what we call the pre-parade, which is kind of like the opposite of a pre-mortem. The pre-parade is imagine yourself at the end and all of a sudden, what are the main things that you did that led you to success? What are the main actions you took that led you to success? So a nice general look back, imagining yourself successful at the end of the year. What would I have done that would have led me to success? And then a more detailed version of the pre-parade known as backcasting, where we imagine ourselves having successfully achieved a particular goal. And then what you do is you reverse engineer and go, what would I needed to have done? What is the strategy that I would have needed to execute in order for me to achieve that particular goal and overcome any obstacle? So you look back retrospectively from this imaginary success in the future, and you don't just look back at the behavior, you look back at the strategy you executed that got you there. If you could take some time to do these kind of strategies, it's going to be a game changer from your perspective. Because there's one thing that we can know is that the same things that got in the way before, more than likely are going to get in the way in the future. Therefore, our predictions about how we get on are going to be very informative to us. For instance, let's talk motivation. So often, just because we're feeling motivated now doesn't necessarily mean that we'll be feeling motivated all the way through. People always start New Year's resolutions and go, oh my goodness, I'm going to be so great. I know that I'm going to work out because I feel so motivated. Well, you might be feeling motivated 3 weeks in. This is known by psychologists as the empathy gap, where we make mistakes in thinking to ourselves, well, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but we think to ourselves, oh, I'll still be motivated in 3 weeks. Well, maybe you won't. And why you need to be able to recognize that is because sometimes motivation is not enough. We need to turn to discipline. And discipline is when you've built routines where you do it no matter what happens. It doesn't matter how you feel, you just take the action that you need to. And the more discipline that we can build into our actions, the more likely we are to be successful. Motivation is great at getting things going, and it's great for us to build disciplines. But discipline is what leads us to success. Because if we rely on us feeling the right way all the right times, it doesn't work like that. But if we can feel strong enough to set up the right systems and right disciplines, and build our discipline to the point that we can start to do things regardless of how we feel, that's what's going to get us through the tough times. So with the tough times ahead, how do we deal with them? We predict what we can predict, and with anything else that we can't predict, we have to be flexible and adapt, but we have to maintain our discipline to keep doing what it is that we know will work moving forward on a consistent basis. Creating the most amazing year is partly about planning and partly about design, partly about being ready for anything that can go wrong. But the final part is it's also about the mindset or attitude that we bring into the new year. As you think about the new year, begin to start to see this new year as full of opportunity and possibility. Start to tune your attention to all the things that you can feel grateful for, all the wonderful things that are in your life, all the things that should make you feel great, and spend time really appreciating and feeling gratitude for them. Why? Because you're training your brain to start to pay attention to all the reasons to feel good, as opposed to feeling bad about all the things that you don't have. And in this world of scarcity, whereby we're constantly reminded of everything we don't have and constantly compared to everyone that we're not, it's crucial for us to start to turn this particular pattern around. And even if you only can make one lifestyle habit new in this next year, if it's something you really work on, maybe, just maybe, that can be the very thing to make this particular year the most incredible year. So I hope you found this useful. I really hope that you can use some of the techniques we talked about and start to build, and listen to this episode and watch this episode as often as you want, but start to build the kind of future that you want in the following year and make it so that next year is the greatest year of your life. You can't control what happens to you. You can't control what, horrible things might lay around the corner. But what you can control is how you prepare and how you demand more of yourself and raise your expectations of what you're capable of. I fully believe in the work that I do, and a big part of it is empowering yourself and taking ownership over your own life and deciding how you're going to start to do whatever you can do to create the kind of life that you want. And it won't mean that everything will always go rosy. But if you can make the best decisions possible and you can cultivate the kind of life and you can march towards it, well, then you're stacking the deck in your favor. You're increasing the probabilities of success. That's all we can do in life. We can focus on what we can control, influence what we can influence, and accept the stuff that's outside of our control. But for you, I truly hope you have a very happy new year. I hope that you've been finding a lot of wisdom and insight from the Change Your Minds podcast, and please check out all the other episodes. And I hope that you will stay in touch. Sign up for my newsletter on fitzpatrick.com/newsletter. If you're interested in training or being part of any of my membership, changeyourminds.com. Please leave a comment or review or rating. Really hope you enjoyed it. For now, take care, be well. And as always, may the force be with you, and may you have a very merry and a very happy new year. Bye-bye.